No. All right, Most High in Christ. There we go now. Shalom, shalom. You live at the Israelite School University of Practical Knowledge. Precinct Captain Natazak Mashal, the Isupk in Virginia, under Commanding General Yohana. You understand? All right, we're going to get into it tonight. This mandatory scripture breakdown class, you in Virginia. Be sure to sign in for attendance. Everybody like, share, subscribe. You understand? All right. There we go. All right, we'll get started in here. Okay, come on, Most High in Christ.
How about Shimon Shabbat?
Hey, shalom, Yahweh Shabbat. Your screen is all black. I'm not sure if it froze, but it's all you blacked out there.
Say all black. I can see myself. It look clear.
Okay.
Think I need to go out and come back in.
You might try that because it's just showing
I can see
black
me
through
and
mine.
you.
All right.
Okay, let me you want me to try to go out and come back in?
Yeah, try that. Let's see.
Okay.
No sweat. Get that up here. Okay. All right. Yeah, momentarily. Okay, Most High in Christ, say shalom. There, I see you now. Shalom. Y'all about Shimon Shabbat.
Shalom. How about Shimon Shabbat?
Okay. All right, Most High in Christ. Okay.
God.
All right, come in here. All right. Go ahead now. All right, cons. We'll go ahead and get it in. All right, you got being your okay, no sweat. All right. That being your black. All right, did you get your headpiece?
I was going I was telling the police officer Urash about it. He was telling me they probably be selling them at the pass.
No sweat, boy. We talk afterwards. I got you.
Con.
Okay. All right. Well, you gonna need to get one of those. Okay.
Con.
All right. So where we gonna start? So we talking about judgment here. We're gonna talk about judgment there. All right. We're gonna bring it down. We're talking about judgment here. What is the purpose of judgment? What is judgment for? You understand? All right. All right. Let's see what the nation. Okay. All right. So we're gonna start like judgment puts the nation in its order, its proper order, proper place. You understand? All right. That's how we have a nation. We can't have a nation without judgment. You understand? We can't have a nation without rules and structure and order. And that is what we are lacking as a people. And because of that, that has absolutely wiped us out as a nation. And in order to rebuild our nation, in order for us to become a nation in the first place, we needed that. We needed to have that. That's why the Lord in the wilderness, he gave us rules. You understand? He gave us laws, statutes, and commandments, and he set up orders and things. You understand? All right. He set up these things to have us be a nation. And this is what made us a nation coming out of the wilderness. Of course, we were in Egypt for hundreds of years. All right. Okay. It's like, well, you got some black. You got some all
Like
running
like
now.
you know, I'm on the road out of one, so
That's
you
right.
know.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Because that's not all black there. You're gonna be with that. All right. All right.
Uh, yeah.
Okay. Con. Con. Okay. I tell you what. Yeah. Exodus chapter 15. So we're gonna start at Exodus. All right. Chapter 15 and verse 3. Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3. All right, if you don't have that, all right, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. I'm gonna go ahead and read from here. I'm gonna just bring you down to the audience because you're gonna need that all black. That's gonna be important.
Con one con.
Don't sweat it this week. You just answer in there. I got you, brother. The water warrior.
Con.
No sweat. Don't
Con.
sweat.
Yonder bar.
All right, I'm bringing you that. Most High in Christ. All right. So Exodus chapter 3. We're gonna start at Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3. Now, with Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3, what that is, like the Lord is setting up how we are going to have a nation, how we are supposed to be, how we supposed to function. You understand? Like Exodus is the Lord is giving us a blueprint about how things are supposed to be set up. We're going to go through these different scriptures that the Lord had laid out for us. The first thing that the Most High wanted us to understand is in Exodus chapter 15 and verse 3 is that this. So I'm going to read that from here. It says, the Lord is a man of war. You understand? The Lord is a man of war, about battle, about warfare, about conflicts. That's what the scripture means when it says the Lord is a man of war. You understand? Life is about warfare. Life is about constant battling. You understand? And in order to serve the Most High, you have to be about warfare. We got nations that are around us. We got enemies. We tried to leave Egypt after they put us out, and shortly after they came to chase us down to just kill us all or push us into the sea. You understand? So what that did, like the Lord is trying to show us how he wants us to function, because that's what it's going to take for us to be a nation. You understand? For us to be a nation, that's what it's going to take. Okay? So now, when he says the Lord is a man of war, Yahweh is his name. That's the Most High's name in the Hebrew. The reason why, even just about what the Most High's actual name is, you understand, that is a battle. That is warfare. Even about what the Lord's name is warfare. Some people want to change the Most High's name. They want to call the Lord Jehovah and call him Jah and call him all of these other names and different things like that. You understand? All of these things should be, you understand, just to stand for the Most High. Fake Israelite groups have named the Most High all kind of names, and Ahia and Yahweh and all of these different names and things that our people believe that they want to call the Most High. Some people say that Allah is God of the Bible, and Krishna and the great sky spirits. All of these things are names that people have associated to the Most High. But to actually be the people of the Lord and actually serve the Most High, you understand, that in itself, just the name of the Most High is about warfare. You understand? Very few people fighting to hold on to the Most High's name. That's why in the UPK, we about warfare. We battling to hold on to the Most High's name. All right? So now from there, this is what the Lord, this is why the Lord had it set up this way. We're going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 15. With Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 15, you understand? As a matter of fact, we're going to start up a little bit more about verse 12. Because in Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 12, it's going to say, you know, what the Lord, the instructions that the Lord has given to Moses to make us a nation while we're in the wilderness. We're going to start there about verse 12. All right. So we got Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse, let's see, do I want to start at 12? Where would I want to be? All right. Yeah, you could just sign, don't sweat it, just sign into the comments. You understand, and just be there that way. All right. So chapter 1, and as a matter of fact, we're going to start at verse 8 because he's laying down the instructions. He's laying down the instructions and the orders of how we are going to not only be a people, but how things are going to be set up so that the future generations of our people have an order. Right now, our generations have been out of order for so long because the things that the Lord set in place have been changed so much. And they weren't changed by God. They weren't changed by the Most High. They were changed by men that the Lord did not set up. That's why this order is so very important. That's why it's so important for the brothers to come into the ISUPK and the sisters to come into the ISUPK, and brothers to lace up your boots and get in your all black. You understand? To be prepared for this battle, to get in to do the work, to stand for the nation so that we can rebuild the nation and the future generations of our people can inherit a nation instead of the same ghettos and slums and barrios and reservations and broken down communities with destroyed homes. You understand? Single mother homes and all of this drama and trouble that we have as a people with problems that we are not able to fix generation after generation. Rebuilding our nation will fix these problems. All right. And this is how it is done. We're talking about judgment. What is the purpose for judgment? What does that happen? You understand how proper order that the Lord set up for it to be. So now in Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 8, it says, behold, I have set thee. Of course, we in the wilderness. The Lord is speaking through Moses, giving instructions for the children of Israel. He said, behold, I have set the land before you. Go in and possess it. These are instructions we're getting before we get our land. Now, here in captivity, we are fighting to get our land back. Right now, all the other nations, the people are freely coming and going in our land. They have our gold, they have our mountains, our oil, our land, and they even have our identity because we disobeyed the Most High. And this was the pattern. This is the order, the exact same steps that Christ took, the exact same steps that the Most High gave to Moses for us to get back in that order to rebuild ourselves and make us a nation. When we went into Egypt, we were not a nation. We were just a family. And that is something that's very important and that has been lost. That we all come from the same man. We all come from Abraham, from Isaac, from Jacob, our forefather Abraham, that the Lord made a covenant with. Like that's our history and our heritage. And we cannot have a nation without our heritage. That's why our people are going to Ancestry.com and 23andMe, and they got some rich FBI database that you're giving your DNA to find out that you understand five, six different pieces of Africans that don't have anything to do with each other, and 4 or 5 different white men that aren't even the natural inhabitants of Europe. You understand? And that's what you get in looking for an identity. Same thing going off to Islam, going off to all of these Dianetics and Egyptology and alchemy, trying to find some ancestral home, looking for our records. Well, it's important, and there needs to be a force in the government and a military in place to reinforce and protect not just our ideals, but our laws, our culture, our heritage, our diet, our high holy days. Otherwise, if you are a people with no borders and no boundaries, like the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community is today, every other people is free to come and go and take from you as they will. They can take your identities. That's why it's rich white men saying, rich oppressors saying that they are Native Americans. Cher is a Native American. She's a Native American now. Johnny Depp paid some money. He's a Native American. Chuck Norris paid some money. He's a Native American. Everybody's a Native American now if you got the right amount of money. You understand? And that's what happens if you don't have the boundaries and borders that the Lord set up. You understand? Having different tribal names and different tribal lands and reservations, those are not the boundaries and the borders that the Lord set up. Those cultural practices and rain dance and praying to the sky and worshiping the totem pole and the bear and the sky spirits and being one with Mother Nature, those are not the boundaries in the way that the Lord said for us to be a people. That's why when the colonizers came from Europe, all of that praying to the great sky spirit and the ghost dances, none of that stopped our oppressors from giving us smallpox and killing us, putting us on reservations, stealing our land. You understand? That didn't get the Most High on our side. We had a God that our people served, but it wasn't the God that the Lord told us that was our power. That word God is referring to the power. That's the power of these people. Allah is the power of the Arabs. That's why in the name of Allah, they traveled and forced everyone else underneath of Islam with a sword. They'll tie you to two separate horses and make the horses run in opposite directions if you didn't accept Islam. That's how it got spread. That's how Christianity was spread. That's how Buddhism was spread. Go back and look up the Inquisition. You understand? Look up the Inquisition about how the Middle East became Arab, how it became Muslim. Talking about the way and religion of peace. They forced and subjugated people under their religion, just like our oppressors did from Europe, just like the Buddhists did, even though you brothers and sisters think Buddhism is so free and spiritual and so peace-loving, and Mahatma Gandhi was such he absolutely despised our people. And because we don't have what we get ready to read about, which is what the Isupk stands for, because it's what the Lord requires, and that's why our people, even after so many people have changed the doctrine and went and got Africans and added white men and white women and changed the Passover, changed the Lord's name, started changing the doctrines that they were taught in all of these fake Israelite groups that you see. The Isupk under Commander General Yohana has kept the doctrine unchanged since it was delivered to our people since 1969. You understand? All of our people have been looking for this, and that's why it's so important to come into the truth, for the brothers and sisters to change our lives, serve the Most High, get in the Isupk, and get in these classes and learn how to have and be a part of a nation. You understand? Our people live lives as individuals. The Chinese don't function as individuals. That's why they have Chinese businesses in black communities, because they're not individuals. The Chinese are running Japan. I mean, not Japan, but Jamaica, Central and South America. The Japanese and Chinese are carving up our communities, our cities, and all of the lands where we are, because this that God requires of his children, we do not follow. So let's get some more. Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 8. It says, behold, I have set the land before you, and go in, Salakia, go in and possess the land which the Most High swear unto your fathers. This was a covenant that was given to our fathers. And that's something very important to make this. This is not a religion. We don't have religions. This is what is a part of you. Just like Beijing and Taiwan and Little Taipei is a part of the Chinese man. And Allah and Mecca, you understand? And Ramadan is a part of the Arab man and the Arab woman. You understand? And all of the different things is a part of everyone culturally. This is who you are, black man. This is who you are, African-American man, Afro-American, Afro-Latino, Indio-Latino, Indio-Mestizo, all of these silly slave names that our oppressors gave us to make up for the fact that they wiped our nation and our records out. This is why it's important to take and make this a part of you. You understand? So when he says, I set the land before you, go in and possess it, which the Most High swear unto your fathers. Abraham, that is our forefather. Isaac, the covenant that the Lord passed to Abraham did not go to Ishmael. It didn't go to the Arabs. It went to Isaac, which was his heir. Jacob, which was his son. And then it passed to all of his children. That's why it said to give unto them and their seed after them. This order that the Most High set up is not just for you. You're not coming into the truth to see what you can get. This ain't Christianity. We come into the truth to lose. You understand? You come in here to lose. The disciples had a thriving family fish business before Christ came and took Peter and his brother. The family was there. Dad was there. The workers was there. He took them from their job. They were working the business on the boat. He told them, cast the net on the other side. They left that boat and followed Christ ever since then until their death, until his death and then their death. You understand? Like, this is what time it is. And this is the spirit that it takes to be a pillar in rebuilding this nation. That's why you in your all black for 90 days. That's why you in your boots, your black pants, black boots, black shirt, black war scarf. That is important because that is a part of conditioning your spirit to be a pillar in this nation, to be in the work, to establish the judgment and the order so that the future generations of our people, just like the babies being born into the ISUPK, unlike when we were born, we can now inherit, they can inherit a nation that is not depending on politics of what's right and wrong. It's not depending on religious leaders that are out for their own personal gain. Can they get a boat? Can they get a yacht? Can they get mansions? It's not dependent on them. It isn't dependent on what's popular at the time. Homosexuality was not popular back in the 70s and 60s. It's popular now. Crack cocaine and heroin wasn't popular. It's popular now. You understand? Serpent opioids wasn't popular. K2 and fentanyl wasn't popular. It's popular now, but there was no boundary set so that the babies born in the 90s and the 2000s and the 2010s and the 2020s, there's no boundary set so that they don't inherit a world where their people believe that it's common and acceptable for black people to smoke cigarettes or smoke Black and Milds or smoke weed, you understand? Or to get high or to go to church. Our people are still going to church to look for God because the boundaries of what it means to serve God, be a man of God, and who the God of our fathers is, those boundaries in the example has so badly been represented that our children had nothing to fall on, had nothing to learn from, nothing to look up to. So instead of us having the Spirit of the Lord with the authority and the men that the Lord had set up to be a border and a boundary over what our people believes is right and wrong and what's acceptable in our families, our homes, our communities, our educations, and how we treat it, how we deal with each other, how our relationships function, all of these things. That is why the Lord gave us these laws and these rules. All right. We're going to reference these later on in the class. So make sure that you're paying attention. All right. So when he's saying these are the instructions to give an inheritance for your children for the future generations, the only way that your children are going to inherit a society that does not accept men in dresses, because nobody else is standing up against it, especially if you Black, Hispanic, or Native American, ain't nobody else standing up against it but the ISUPK. Everybody waved those rainbow flags talking about yay, 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 when it was your friend that you like giggling at in high school that liked to act like a girl. And now he got rights that he can enter your female competitions. And because he is a transgender, they will give him the awards that you've worked all your life to get. Gymnastics, wrestling, basketball, any sports. There's some man in lipstick and a dress that silly Black women have supported for decades. Every Medea movie, every Shanae, every Big Mama's house, every man in a dress you giggled at, well, you supported them. You gave them money. You help empower them in those Christian churches that Big Mama and Auntie dragged everybody to, and you gave your money, and they did nothing for the community. I'm not talking about fish dinners and a couple of sandwiches outside the shelter. The responsibility for what a man of God is why we're going over power and order and structure and judgment, so that you can get an understanding of how poor a job your leaders have done and how important a job you will be required to do as a priest and officer in the ISUPK, which you're learning, what the real men of the Lord do and teach, you understand? So let's get some more. In verse 9, it says, and I spake unto you at that time, saying, I am not able to bear you myself alone. This was Moses speaking. They used to line up in those great big long welfare lines, just to give an example. Remember those lines used to be so long, wrapping around blocks and blocks, trying to get a limited number of housing vouchers, trying to get a limited number of this and get the food stamps and sign up for paperwork. You understand? Of course, they have a more efficient system, which still isn't that efficient, but it's much better than what it used to be decades prior. Well, they were standing by the thousands in line to speak to Moses so that Moses could handle every one of their problems, so that Moses could deal with all of those issues. You understand? And this is what the Lord had told Moses to do. That's why we read it. All right. Of course, you might be familiar with this scripture, but we're going through a lot of different things. And we want you to have this in your mind as we progress on in the class. It says, the Most High has multiplied you, and behold, ye are this day as the stars of heaven for a multitude. As the stars in heaven, of course, you have heaven where the birds fly. That is one heaven. Then you have the heaven, which is the outer space, the stratosphere, where you have the stars and the other planets and the celestial bodies. That's another heaven. Then you have the third heaven, which is the throne room of the Most High in the fourth dimension, where Christ sits on the right hand of the Father, the 24 elders, which are the Most High's war council that's around the throne room, the 4 beasts that are around the throne, and then the angels that do good, which are regular angels, and the angels that do evil, which are known as demons. They are all in the fourth dimension there. You understand? That's heaven. So this is the heaven that it's talking about specifically. It is talking about where the stars are. That's why it says as the stars of heaven. You need to know that, because every time you see the word heaven, it's not referring to one specific thing. It depends on the context of the scripture. So it says the most high power of your fathers, This God is the God of our fathers. It is not the God of the Arabs, Africans, East Indians, Caucasians. This God is not everybody's God. This is the God of our people, our family, our nation. This is not for everybody. You as a people are not for everybody. You don't have to tell a Chinese man not to go and join the Japanese. He knows that because he's Chinese. You don't have to tell the Nigerian to not go and pretend to be an Ethiopian. He knows that because he's Nigerian. You don't have to tell the Jewish man to not go and pretend to be German. He knows that because he's Jewish. You understand? Our people are the ones that need to be told to not go and pretend to be an Arab or a Muslim, because we're not Arabs. You're not a Wakandan or a Moor or an African, because we're not those people. We're not a Christian. We're not supposed to be a Baptist or a Democrat or Republican or an Episcopal, Seventh-day Adventist or a Roman Catholic, because we're not those people. We're not Egyptians. We're not those people. Our people must learn this, because we have to unlearn all the lies we've been taught, because what the Lord set up has not been in effect. Too many people have been allowed to masquerade themselves as men of God. And the Isupk is the litmus test. This is the proving ground. This is the fire that you sit in to find out if you have what it takes to be an actual man of the Lord. Because real man of the Lord and the Lord that sends tests and trials will find out if you are cut out for it. Just as a sidebar, if you were a doctor, you understand, you are held to a standard. You have to learn this certain medicine, take these classes, log in these amount of hours, check in here, do this residency, do your undergrad here, check these tests. There are levels to make sure that you not only go through the proper training so that those who cannot pass the training do not get to be a doctor. They don't get to be recognized as a doctor. If you pretend that you are a doctor, you have done malpractice. You've committed a crime. Well, there is major, massive malpractice against everyone pretending that they are men of God that represent the God of this Bible. Everyone outside of the Isupk is doing malpractice. Do you understand? Just so that you can get a better idea. That's why our people are so confused. All right. And that's why the Lord gave this order to help clear up the confusion for our people. He said, the Lord, the most high power of your fathers, make you 1,000 times as many more as you are. Meaning not only are we a lot now, but we're going to be more and more for the future generations. Our people don't think about the future generations, because Christianity teaches you you only live once. You're going to die and go live in some sandcastle in the sky. When if you knew what's actually in the Bible, that the drugs that you sell right now, 2 generations down the line, your great-great-grandson is going to be a horrible drug addict and wander out into traffic and get hit by a car and die. If you knew that the drugs that you were selling now, your great-great-grandson would come back and be addicted to, that the Percocets that you selling and the cocaine that you sold and the weed and the crack that you sell, that some sister is going to give birth to a baby that is halfway addicted to the drugs that you put in her system. And because of that, that baby's nervous system is not going to develop properly. That brain is not going to develop properly. Their decision-making skills will not develop properly. And what is going to happen into a society that does not have anything in place to deal with the problems of their people? Another nation of people is going to find a solution for the mentally ill. Half of the brothers and sisters in prison are mentally ill. They can't hardly think, can't barely function, and you've been giving them gas and loud since they was 12 goddamn years old, and their brain never gets a chance to function. So they never going to end up getting out of jail. They're going to make the same mistakes when they get back, unless there are men of the Lord in the streets to go and get them and stop you. You understand? That's what it takes. The preacher ain't interested in that. He want to sing and dance and get your mother's money. You understand? All the money should be given to Commanding General Yohana, because he's the only one raising the men to do the job that the Lord said to do, to rescue and fix our people. You understand? So when the Lord said, make you 1,000 times as many more as you are, as he have promised you, he said, it's a lot of my people. It is a lot of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And in order for us to be an actual people and not individuals with all of these different flags and titles and beliefs and all of these things that divide us as a people, we need things in common. That's why the Lord gave us rules. That's why we have the same name. That's why our oppressors changed our name from Yasha Allah, which is all of our last name. All of our last name is Yasha Allah. The Mexicans' last name is Yasha Allah. The Puerto Ricans' last name is Yasha Allah. The Afro-Americans' last name is Yasha Allah. The Lord called us Judah or Yahawada, Ban Yasha Allah. Isupk, Ban Yasha Allah. Ashar, Asher, the brothers in South America and Brazil and Bolivia and Ecuador and Peru. Ashar, Ban Yasha Allah. You understand? Levi, the Haitians, Lord Yah, Ban Yasha Allah. Gad, the Native Americans, God, Ban Yasha Allah. We all have the same name according to the Most High. Conquistadors and pilgrims and Quakers made us all of these other names and titles. Latino and Mestizo and Hispanic and Negro, they made us these other titles. Before all of that, we were always known as black people. You understand? In the Old Testament, we were black people. In the New Testament, we were black people. You understand? They made us different. And it wasn't about skin color or your hair texture or your nose or your lip density or the shape of your body. It was because we had the same fathers. And those were the same rules that the Most High gave unto Moses to give to us so that we could re-inherit them in the future generations. We're going to go through a lot. I'm going to try not to get ahead of myself. You understand? Let me know y'all ain't here paying attention. There's a lot of people signed in. I ain't hearing nothing. Y'all hearing me or what? Give me a one or something. Got a lot of people in here I ain't heard nothing from. Who in here? Yagadar, Kasakya, Ashar Sapar, Akal Sapar, brother in Pittsburgh. Nah. You know y'all in here. Y'all can hear me. Let me sit and teach for 25 minutes and find out that nobody heard nothing I said. Y'all just sitting there looking at me. Y'all, all right, y'all in here. Okay, Most High in Christ. Y'all give me a one. Let me know y'all in here. All right. This is not church. You type in there and ask some questions. You understand? This is a class. Damn right. All right, Most High in Christ. I want to make sure. All right. So verse 12. This is something that is at the true heart of a real man of the Lord. How can I myself alone bear your cumbrance, your problems, and your burden, the responsibility of being in charge of you, your problems with your health and your this and your kids and your family? You need a job. You don't have food. Where are you going to stay? You don't know how to deal with people. You don't know how to talk. You're getting in fights everywhere. You can't have a relationship. That is the responsibility of a real man of the Lord, to deal with your cumbrance and your burden and your strife. You understand? This was the Lord's solution. You got to be trained up how to deal with that. Shalom, boy, you got to be trained up how to deal with that. That's why when you come into the Isupk, some brother who went through very, very hardships, you understand. For those of you young brothers, young sisters just coming in the truth, you just getting a taste of what it means to sit in that fire. while the demons, your mama, your woman, your job, your dog, your bills, everything on planet Earth is trying to tell you to leave the truth. Go back to church, go back to the mosque, have that cigarette, eat that pork chops, call and re-up on your pack, hit the streets, hit your OnlyFans. You fighting against everything that was been put inside of you by this society so that your spirit can go and learn how to serve the Most High, so that the future generations of your people won't have to fight the cigarette addiction that you do. They won't have to fight the drug addiction that you have to fight. That's why you got to stop smoking weed, brother. They won't have to, so that your children will never know what it is like, and your children's children's children, and my children's children's children, and other brothers and sisters' children that you will never, ever get to meet. One day, their children will be able to grow up in a Black, Hispanic, and Native American society where none of them ever get to learn what it's like to fiend for some cocaine, to fiend for some heroin, to fiend for a cigarette. They won't know what it's like. They won't know who was the last person you seen with a cigarette. Nobody smokes cigarettes. That's not an Israelite custom. That's a heathen custom. Smoke shops, Arab smoke, Chinese smoke. I'm an Israelite. Israelites don't smoke. What do you mean you left your husband? What you talking about, girl? You can't leave your husband. You married to that man. Y'all work it out. What you mean leave your real brother? You can't leave that sister. Y'all had an argument, no sweat. But you can't leave her because y'all had an argument. How many arguments you have with your children? You gonna throw your bad toddlers away? There are no good toddlers. I don't give a damn how much you love your baby. No toddlers behave good. The word toddler means bad behavior in every language. No toddler behaves good. You tell them stop, they do it. You say don't touch, they touch. You say don't eat it, they're going to eat it. Don't drink it, they're going to drink it. Sit down, they're going to run away. You wipe their face, they're going to block your hand. There are no good toddlers. You can't throw your children away because you get into a disagreement. They're your family. They are a part of you, just like our forefathers are a part of us, and the rest of our people are a part of us. And we have to start to look at each other, unlike how the Christian church has taught us for so many decades. You are a part of me. If your sons and daughters knew that we were a part of each other, your son wouldn't be shooting brothers every time he get upset. Your daughter wouldn't be killing those babies with abortions if she knew that that baby was a part of her. That baby was her great-great-grandmother trying to get back on the earth that she just killed so she can go to school and get a degree and never get a job with that goddamn degree because Oprah told her that she should. That's why this next scripture, this is how the nation is founded. Here we go. So Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 13. This is what the Lord had Moses to do. Take you wise men. Wise men. A lot of our brothers and sisters, we've been raised without the proper wisdom that the Most High has. You've been raised by mom. And as much as we love our mothers, the Lord deprived a woman of wisdom. If you are a woman, it is not your fault. God purposely deprived you of wisdom. Does that mean you can't do homework? Does that mean you can't run a business? No. Does that mean you can't read or write? No. Does that mean that all you can do is make babies and cook? No. You understand? Even though making babies and cooking is a very important skill that seems to be lost more and more as we go through, but that is not what that means. The wisdom to make life and death decisions that will impact your family, your people, and the future generations, that wisdom, God deprived a woman of that. You're not supposed to be put in that situation as a woman. That is why America capitalizes off of the destruction of our people, because the Chinese woman is not in charge of the Chinese community. The Nigerian woman is not in charge of the Nigerian community. The African, Arab, East Indian, no woman is in charge of any of their people's community on the planet, except when you get to our people. And that is a war tactic. And that was taught to us by our oppressor, who taught us through the Christian church and our preachers. Shalom. So he said, take you wise men, man that has to have wisdom. That's why brothers coming to the Isupk, there is officers and camp leaders and captains that are assigned to the cities and regions and zones where you are. That's why we tell brothers in our announcements, contact the Isupk school in whatever city and state that you're in. That's why we hold our brothers, our officers, to strict discipline and rules in the ISUPK. You understand? That's why we hold sisters to strict rules in the ISUPK. You understand? Because the Lord said, take wise men, men with wisdom and understanding that know how to do things, certain things that our people are supposed to know how to do that we were not taught because our families are destroyed. There's certain things that it takes a father to teach his son, that because of how a woman is made, how the Lord created a woman, a mom cannot teach this to her son. As much as she may want to and try, that is why there must be wise men of understanding to rule the community, because most of our people are being raised by mom. That's the majority of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And you cannot have a strong nation with mom in charge. You understand? So that's why this is the foundation of building our nation, to fix these problems. You raised by your mom, don't sweat it. You raising children by yourself, don't sweat it, sis. Make sure every single mother needs to get in the ISUPK. Every sister raising a child, son or daughter by herself, needs to come into the ISUPK, because there are wise men of understanding that the Lord set up to rule over all the zones and cities that are held to accountability, just like doctors are held to levels of accountability to remain a doctor. You understand? This is how the real world functions. This idea of equality, this idea that everybody's equal, everybody's word counts and matters, that's not a real world. That's a child's world. And that is the world that Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that's the world our mind is in. That's why everyone capitalizes off of us. That's why we teaching our people the opposite, so that we can learn what the Lord said. He said, take you wise men in understanding and known amongst your tribes. Their works are known amongst their tribes. Their reputation, their skill, their ability, what they have is known amongst their tribes. That's why it's important to come into this truth and get in this work. Do your work, become reliable, become dependable, or brother that can follow orders, that can take orders and follow orders and be required to do something at a certain time, to make a check-in, to make a phone call, be here at this time, call at this time, do this on this day, because we cannot have a nation filled with independable people. And the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, one of the crutches is that we cannot depend on each other. That's why the Bible says, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. You understand? So much independability makes everyone say, well, I'm out for myself. You know, you can't depend on nobody. I couldn't depend on my dad, couldn't depend on my friends, couldn't depend on my homeboy. This nigga left me with the baby. I depended on her. She threw me out the damn house because I lost my job. Like, we have to be dependable to each other. I can't trust it, man. Can't trust them. Can't do this. Can't believe in them. Like, that's a spirit that's on our people. And we have to change the reputation of our people by turning back and learning how the Lord said for us to function. You understand? If you get an order to do something at this time, make sure that you do it. You understand? Your children know that you said, I'm going to do this. Daddy going to do this. Mom going to do this. And then over time, they figure out that, damn, mommy and daddy don't do nothing they say, but they want me to do everything they say. Mommy and daddy said this, they lied to me. Santa Claus is fake. The tooth fairy is fake. Rabbits don't lay eggs. What else did they lie to me about? You understand? And that builds distrust. And you can't trust a liar. And everybody is lying in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. Everyone is lying. The leaders are lying. The religious leaders are lying. The politicians are lying. Your teachers are lying. Nobody is telling the truth. You won't actually hear the truth until you get in the ISUPK. This will be the first time in your truth that you actually learn, the first time in your life that you'll actually learn what the truth is. You understand? So when he says, take you wise men in understanding and known amongst your tribe, and I will make them rulers over you. What does it mean to be a ruler over you? To bear your cumbrance, the trouble of having to deal with you and your problems and your burden and correcting you and your strife. That is what a ruler over the people does. You understand? The rulers over our people now sit in some palace in some mansion in the suburbs. You don't know where the hell they are. You can't knock on Farrakhan's door and say, I need Pampers for my baby. We out of formula. They shutting down my kid's school. The teacher just rock bottomed my son in the classroom and called him the N-word. You can't go and tell Farrakhan that. You can't get Al Sharpton on the phone. T.D. Jakes is not coming to make sure you don't sleep on the streets. You understand? They're not helping you deal with your autistic son or your deaf children or your mentally ill aunt or grandmother. Our society is supposed to be built and structured in such a way that all of the problems of our people are taken care of. You understand? That's why the people come from other countries and become the nurses, and the first job they get is in the black community. Why? Because nobody know how to take care of themselves in the black community. That's why everybody else is in your hospital. Everybody else is your nurse and your doctor. We can't secure our cities, our towns, our borders, nothing, because the rules on how to secure and take the land that God gave us are these laws, statutes, and commandments. And without them, you have no way to secure it. You'll think selling drugs is securing the community. And in 20 years, you'll realize everything you thought you had is completely gone. Somebody else owns it. Like, this is the real spirit of how life functions. All right. So let's get some more. It says, verse 14. And ye answered me and said, Salaki, I don't want to skip over that because there's so much here. I'm going to read 13 again because there's something important at the end of 13 that I want to dig deeper into. The Lord said, take you wise men and understanding and known amongst your tribes, and I will make them rulers over you. Meaning the men that are wise and known of understanding that will be rulers over your area, zone, city, state, township, wherever you are. These are men that are wise and they have understanding. They're not getting their own wisdom and understanding. They're getting the wisdom and understanding that the Lord gave to Moses. The wisdom that you are learning here in this class is not my personal wisdom. This is wisdom that I learned from Commandant General Yohana, who the Lord put in charge. That's why everybody else doesn't have this. If they did, we'd have a nation where our schools, with our children, would only go to Israelite schools and learn Israelite history and learn math from Israelites, because it's unlawful for one of another nation to come into company that is a Jew. It's unlawful for Jews to be around the other nations of people. That's why the Jewish kids don't go to school with your kids. You understand? Because even though it's not about them, they take from our records and apply it to themselves. What would happen if we took our records and applied it to ourselves? That's why you need warriors and men of wisdom and understanding to teach you how to put on our culture, our identity. So then your sons and daughters will grow up with the spirit of the Lord instead of the spirit of get rich or die trying, or Molly Percocet. You understand? So let's get some more. The Lord said, I will make them rulers over you. The man that the Lord put in charge is who decides your leaders. You don't go and make your own leader. You don't go and find your own leader or choose who you best think is your leader or make yourself your leader. The Lord has someone in charge that assigns someone to be in charge where you are. And everyone is supposed to go to that person and bring all of their wealth, their resources, their time, so that they can come in now and build up what the Lord wants to be done in that area. That's what's supposed to happen. What usually happens when we get to cities is y'all just show up. Most people want to fight us, want to call the police on us, get us out of there. And after that doesn't work, eventually they just try to stay out their way. And then eventually brothers and sisters gradually will come into the truth and then learn how to actually do what the Lord requires. All right. So now in verse 14, it says, for those of y'all just joining, we're in Deuteronomy chapter 1 and verse 14. He said, and ye answered me and said, the thing which thou hast spoken is good for us to do. Verse 15. So I took the chief of your tribes, the heads of your tribes, wise men, a wise man. You understand? A wise man has different skills and things. A wise man has ability. He knows things. He doesn't know things because of his age. He doesn't know things because of how old he is. The Lord appointed Jeremiah and gave Jeremiah wisdom that men 10 times Jeremiah's age would have never gotten, because the Lord appointed him. You understand? So when he says wisdom, and known and made them heads over you, people in charge over you, and captains over thousands, and captains over hundreds, and captains over 50s, captains over tens, and officers among your tribe. Everywhere where our tribes are, in North, South, Central America, everywhere we are where there's a community of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they are supposed to have a man that the Lord appointed and other men that he appointed to be in charge. That's why we have councils. That's why we have major councils. That's why we have regional councils and camp councils and departments, so that all of us, so that we can function as a nation and not a church, not a choir. We aren't getting together to sing songs, you understand? Even though we do make and play music, we're not having choir rehearsal here, because dealing with the strife and the problems of our people, that's the actual job. If your problems are the most important thing in your life, you might not be in the truth, or you might be young in the truth, which is fine for coming in. You understand? He said, and I charged your judges at that time. Judges, like we are supposed to have our own judges. The generals are judges. That's why we have councils to deal with our issues amongst our people. Hear the causes between your brethren, the issues between brothers. You understand? Brothers settle issues with each other by themselves. You understand? Whether it be a shootout or multiple shootouts. You understand? Because the men that the Lord appointed to be captains and officers over thousands, tens, and 50s are supposed to be in every city and community where we are. But brothers and sisters are in Islam and fake Israelite groups and Christian churches and the mosque and wearing those silly Morocco mole hats being Moors, instead of being in here, getting the spirit of the Lord to deal with the problems of our people. None of that has stopped black men from killing each other or going to prison or stop the divorce or the abortion rate. None of that has fixed our actual strife and encumbrance and the burden of caring for the Lord's people. That's the actual job. Not Sunday, not at Wednesday night Bible study. That's permanent. That's always. You have a police force from America in your Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, because this is how you set up the police for your people. But you're in church and you don't have the spirit of the Lord. So you don't know how to police your people. Your woman don't respect your authority. Your children don't. She told them not to. Her friends don't respect you. The pastor told them not to respect you. She thinks she equal with you. America says she equal, and also told her to kill your babies. So now that the authority that the Lord set up is gone, another nation of people enforce their rules on you. Who knows the problems in the Chinese community? By a show of hands. What's the divorce rate in the Chinese community? Who knows? Anna, do you know? Shema Gabar? Gabar Rakah? Who knows? Who knows? What is the chief problem in the Korean community here in America? What are their problems? What problems do the Nigerians face here in America? What about the South Africans? Africa. What are their problems? What do they face? What is the problems that the Ethiopians face here in America? What is the Ethiopians' main concern that they are having here in America? What trouble or problems do they have? Who knows? What problems do the Ukrainians? They're the last people to come here in bulk. What problems do the Ukrainians have? How about the Afghans and the Iraqis? What are their problems? Who knows? You know why you don't know? Because they are a people established unto themselves with their own God, their own religion, their own language, their own culture, their own history, their own heritage, their own leaders, their own ways of resolving their problems. And you don't know a damn thing about their business. But our leaders are $2 truck stop lizard lots. You understand? And they are such whores that all of our business, the full nakedness, as the Bible calls it, of the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, Jerry Springer can capitalize on it. Maury can capitalize on it. Judge Mathis, Maybelline, and Judy, and this court, domestic court, child support court, juvenile court. And the solution is not to fix the problem. The solution is to get rich because it's broken. You understand? This is how important it is that these officers, captains that the Lord set up be empowered and in charge over all the cities where our people are. Otherwise, another nation of people will eat your people alive. And that's what has been happening to us. When the brothers and sisters come from Mexico and Central and South America and Venezuela and Haiti, they are supposed to be greeted and treated the same way a foreign race of people. You understand? The same way that the Iraqis and the Afghans, they treated and welcomed them with open arms here in America. Not because America loves the Iraqis and the Afghans. America just killed like over millions of them for 20 years. America doesn't love the Iraqis and the Afghans no more than they love the Vietnamese that came to America after the Vietnam War, or the Koreans that came to America after the Korean War, or the Japanese after Pearl Harbor. America recognizes their people as a nation. And as a nation, they cannot target those people because that will make them look bad in the international world. The same way that they shame Arab leaders or African leaders for mistreating their people. You understand? If we were recognized as a people, not as some other nation of people pretending to be a Muslim or a Moor, which is not a race, or a Muslim, which is not a race, or a Christian, which is not a race, or a Democrat or Republican, which is not a race, or an African, which is not a race, an American, which is not a race, or an Afro-American, which is 4 continents filled with different races of people. None of those are actual identities. But if we were greeted as Israelites, as this is God's chosen people, then we would be dealing with our own people. That's why they have a consulate here in America for all these other nations of people. But our leaders are so weak that it's damn near worthless. You don't see anybody else's baby in dog cages. You've never seen an Afghan baby in a dog cage, but you have seen a Venezuelan, Haitian, and Mexican baby in a dog cage. That's because this order that the Lord set up, filled with officers and captains of tens and thousands and 50s, that order has not been set up. That is what the Isupk is building. You understand? And that's why he said the judges, I charge your judges at that time, hear the causes between your brothers and judge righteously every man and his brother and the stranger that is with him. That stranger is talking about a brother that's not from that area. You understand? If 2 brothers that's in this city, let's just use, for example, 2 brothers that's in this city here in Richmond, they have an issue. And then a brother that's from Richmond has an issue with another brother who's just coming to visit his aunt or something. You understand? And he from, let's just say he from Mexico, he from Texas, or he from El Salvador. You understand? He would be a stranger to Richmond because that's not his area where him and his family is from. But even though I don't know him, I didn't grow up with him, I know that he's an Israelite, and there's a certain way that I have to treat him. I can't just rob him because he's not from my neighborhood. He's from the west side, I'm from the east side. I can't just shoot him because he looks different. I can't just fight him because he talks different, because he eats different foods. All of those silly, arrogant hood things that our people use to divide and tear each other apart, those things are unlawful. Not supposed to do that and just hate your brother without a cause. That's a sin. And there's supposed to be an order set up. You might not know who these people are, but there are wise men who are known and who have understanding that do know who our 12 tribes are. You understand? That do know who is an El Salvadorian. That's our brother. That's Zebulon. That's a Seminole. You understand? That's Reuben. That's Rawbon. He's a brother. You understand? That's Issachar. He is our brother. No immigrant. That's a brother. That's Asher from Venezuela. That's our brother, man. And this is what our people are supposed to be getting taught from the time that they're babies. Instead of learning this silly Wakanda woman king Africa nonsense, you understand, that we learning from Disney because we don't have an identity any damn way. We don't know who the hell we are. Like, this is what is supposed to be instilled in our people. That's how you have the prophet the Lord set in charge, the priests, the prophets, the government, the officers, the captains. That's your military, your police force, your judges. This is how you have a nation. Even though we were in the wilderness, the Lord gave us these instructions. So before we got to our actual land, we had a code of conduct amongst ourselves and knew how to govern each other. So that even if you had problems, you down 911, they're not showing up to solve the problems. You understand? That ain't what they there for. They there to write tickets and arrest people. You might get some decent officers here and there, but that's not what the badge and the job is for. We need officers for our people that know how to deal with the issues in our community. You understand? That's what the Isupk. That's what a man in the Lord is for. You see what I'm saying? So when he says, I charge your judges at that time, saying, hear the causes between your brethren and your sisters. Sisters got a lot of issues with each other. Sisters get an issue, you understand, between them and their husband. Don't know how to deal with those issues, so they just end up fighting. Throwing dishes, throwing things, slapping, punching, pulling knives. Next thing you know, a whole bunch of things that could get fixed if we had the spirit of the Lord in our communities versus the spirit of everybody do whatever they think is right. Everybody do what Oprah said. What did Dr. Phil say? What did America say? What did the Planned Parenthood say? What did the preachers say? That's why in the New Testament, the scriptures say in 1 Corinthians, the 14th chapter, if she will learn anything, let her ask her husband at home. The Bible is not about independence empowerment. It's about empowering that man to rule and have authority so that he can watch for his possessions in his area. Then there is another hierarchy of men with more authority that watch for the area, city, neighborhood, and community. Then there's a higher hierarchy with officers that watch over thousands of brothers that watch over various cities and communities. And you know what you have before that? You have a nation. You got a government. That's why they have regional law enforcement, the police, the ATF, this task force, that task force. You're supposed to have your own government governing your people under your laws. You don't think the Chinese do? That's why you don't know what their problems are. How many people strung out on Percocets in Chinese community, the Arab community, the Asian community? You don't know, and they're not going to tell you because they have their own judges, their own rules, their own laws, their own culture, and they are a people unto themselves, which is exactly what the Lord commanded us to do and be. And that's what you learn and how to get back and become. That's why we're going to celebrate the Lord's 54th annual Passover, Raleigh, North Carolina, April the 1st. You understand? Full week, you understand? All of those things. Our annual lamb slaughter, the Lord's Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread. This is a part of who we are. You don't need no DNA, 23andMe, Ancestry.com. The Bible is God's records. The words written in this Bible are spirit and they are life, just like the scriptures said. The spirit of the Lord, you understand, is in this Bible. All right? And that's what you learning. That's what you're getting put on you. This is the real baptism, not being dipped in water. You understand? So when it says, verse 17, ye shall not respect, of course, we in Deuteronomy chapter 1 and 17, it says, ye shall not respect persons in judgment. What does that mean? What are the judgments? And the judgments, you understand, the Lord has judgments that are laid out. All right, we're going to pull that in just a second. But the Lord said, a tongue twisted there, ye shall not respect persons in judgment. What does it mean to respect persons and to have judgment? Because there are no rules set up with no boundaries, everyone is free to do whatever they want. The Lord has judgments in this Bible. And these judgments are to keep us a nation and to set boundaries. Everybody knows that if you do something to harm a police officer, you are expecting a punishment from that, as you should, because they have established judgments and authority. Now, the way that they went about establishing their authority was absolutely cruel and heinous, and America's police department is set up off of runaway slave patrol catchers. We are not allowed to join them. They are not for our people, even though they may do things to help us or show us kindness or things like that. That's not for our people. That's for America. You understand? But even still, even though it's not for us, the scriptures say when a man's ways please the Lord, he causes even his enemies to be at peace with him. We got tons of enemies, but our enemies are at peace with us because we obey the Most High. All right. That doesn't mean that we don't have tons of enemies, which we do. You understand? All right. So when he says in Deuteronomy 1:17, you shall respect no persons in judgment. The persons is with an S. That doesn't mean different people. That means their stature, their position. But ye shall heal the small, the small. That doesn't mean your height or your size. What do you have? Let's say you're poor. Let's say you don't own a big house. You may have a small place. You may have an apartment. You may be in a shelter. You understand? Of course, in this captivity I'm talking about, because in our land where we ruled our own people, we wouldn't have any brothers and sisters sleeping on the street being homeless. The only reason we have homeless brothers and sisters is because the Christian church has swallowed $500 billion of black people's money, just black people alone, not so-called Hispanic brothers and sisters, not so-called Native Americans, just black people alone. The Christian church has stolen 500 billion, not million, billion with a B, dollars from black people alone. That's enough money to do everything that is needed many times over for all of our people and all of our future generations, every generation. They have it all. Martin Luther King took it and bought prostitutes in the Watergate Hotel. That's what happened. That's what happened to it. Louis Farrakhan has a 1 million man march, and he goes and collects money in gigantic trash bags. He take that money, he say a speech, everybody clap, they wave at him, he wave back, he get in his helicopter and disappear with the money. Brothers go right back to getting killed and arrested that same night. Like, these are the leaders over our people, and they are not who God appointed. Farrakhan is a white man, by the way. All right. He said, and ye shall not respect persons in judgments, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. You shall hear the man is small and the great. You understand? Just because he has a learning disability, just because he might not speak as well, he has a speech impediment, he might not be able to see as good, he may be handicapped. That does not mean that his problems and issues get dismissed because he doesn't have a campaign contribution. There are no campaigns to get contribution because we are not elected officials. You don't get to choose who your leader is. God chooses. How does the Lord choose? There's a man the Lord set up to be in charge, and he put men in charge to find out who can do this job and who can't. You understand? That's why you get tested. That's why you be in all black for 90 days. Are you wearing all black? Are you wise? Can you pay attention? What skills do you have? Let's get you some counseling. Let's get you some lessons. Let's teach this brother. Let's teach this sister. Before you come in and be a part of this family where now we are responsible for you, where you yield to our rules, where you fight your cigarette addiction like everybody else fought theirs, where you get off of your drugs. Do you need help? Do you need counseling? Let's get you. Do you have children? This is what the actual men of the Lord do. You understand? This is what the Lord said to do in the Bible. Okay? They can't do that at church. They don't even believe in this. These are the laws and commandments the preacher tell you are done away with. Then they have a 1 million man march and tell you we should march and light candles for our problems and see if we can get a politician to pass a law. You understand? That's not the way to deal with our people's issues. The Lord said, ye shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. A rich man that has an issue, just because he's rich, that doesn't mean you get to steal from him. That doesn't mean you get to rob him. That doesn't mean you get to just take out your frustrations for being small because he's great. You can't lie on him and say he did something to you when he did not. And he's not free to do something to you because he or she is rich and you are poor. You understand? Like Jada Pinkett having sex with her son's little PlayStation buddies. You understand? She's a goddamn predator. And she's supposed to be treated as a predator and a child molester. Just like R. Kelly, who's supposed to be treated as a predator and a child molester, and the choir and the pastors and everybody else, whether they are great, rich and powerful, or small, poor, and they don't have a name that everybody knows. Same thing. You can't serve another God, whether you are small and you don't have everybody's attention, or you're great and you do have everybody's attention. There are boundaries that are supposed to be set that don't get crossed. You can't just be limitless The possibilities are endless. No, there are a finite amount of possibilities of which you can be. You can never be a little boy and grow up to be a little girl. Never. You don't have that option. There's a ceiling. This is as far as you can go. You can't do it. To help you realize that you can't do it, there are laws to make sure that you don't ever veer too far down this path. A man cannot wear a woman's apparel. You like that dress? Good. Like it when a woman wears it, but you can't wear it. You like those wigs? Fine. Get you a woman that gets her hair done the way that you like, but you cannot go and pretend to be that woman. You can't do it. You like her shoes? Fine. Let her wear those shoes. You can't wear her shoes. So that whatever demon might end up on you, you can't. You like how that man look in those combat boots, sis? You want to be a warrior? Well, you're not made to be a warrior. You ain't putting on no combat boots. You're not going to the army. You're not an army man. You're going to be a wife and a mother because that's what a woman is. You understand? You like how beautiful another woman is? Fine. Like her beauty, but you can't go and be with her. Go make yourself beautiful. Make beautiful children, but you can't go and be with her just because the demon tells you that she's beautiful. There's a boundary that the Lord has in place to help the demons that are in the area because we are in an evil empire. And these laws, statutes, and commandments and the officers and the priests and prophets that the Lord set up help to establish boundaries so that the demons that thrive outside of this household, not physical place, but outside of this body, those demons won't have power over this body. You understand? That's how the Lord set it up. So when it says here, it says, you shall respect no person in judgment. Just as a sidebar, I want to get a precept for you. You understand? Let's see. All right. With Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse, just to get a little bit about the judgments. You understand? Right here, Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 1. And then we're going to go back to Deuteronomy chapter 1, talking about the judgments. It says, now therefore, Deuteronomy 4 and 1, hearken, which means to listen diligently. You understand? O Israel, not everybody, just Israel, just our family, just blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. If your father is black, Hispanic, or Native American, unto the statutes. That's why if you go to court, they're going to tell you this is a violation of statute 1, section 3 dash this, paragraph 5. That's where our oppressor gets it from. That's a biblical thing that the Lord gave to us that they pattern after reading our records. You understand? So when it says, I've taught you statutes and unto the, Salakia, get tongue twisted, unto the statutes, hearken unto the statutes, and unto the judgments, the punishments for violating those statutes, which I teach you for to do them, that ye may live. Meaning by keeping these laws, keeping these statutes, keeping these judgments, we are going to live and go in and possess the land which the Most High thy power, Salakia, with the land which the Lord, the Most High power of your fathers giveth you. You understand? Got to take it slow sometimes with that old English. The Most High gave us land, and because of the laws and the judgments, the rules and the punishments for violating those rules that the Most High gave to us, this is why we are able to possess a land that he promised to our forefathers. All right? He says, ye shall not add unto the word which I command unto you. You're not supposed to add something. Neither shall you diminish or take away aught, which means any part from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Most High your power, which I command you. He's saying, keep these commandments because this is how you'll get to keep the land. One of those commandments was integration. And by us integrating, we forfeited the land that we had, even though we weren't in the land that the Lord gave us. We had more land then than we have now here in America, which might be hard for you to believe, but you can go and look it up. We own less now, less land now as a people than we did in previous generations. Even the cities that we developed, from Detroit to Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Harlem, Philly, all of these super black towns, everybody's coming and just taking from us because without these laws and rules, without this judgment being established and these statutes and these officers that the Lord put in charge to keep us a nation, we don't have the order and the structure for the Lord to be with us, and everything falls apart, and then everyone can come and prey on our people. So now, what it's saying in verse 4, he said, but that did cleave, Salakia, but you that did cleave unto the Most High your power are alive, every one of you this day will stay alive. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, the laws and the different consequences for violating these laws, even as the Most High my power commanded me that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Wherever we go to possess the land, that is what we are supposed to do. You understand? So now we want to go back to Deuteronomy chapter 1 and 17. Now that we got some precepts about what the judgments, what these laws and statutes that it's talking about. You understand? So now we're back in Deuteronomy 1 and 17. You shall not respect persons in judgment, but ye shall hear the small as well as the great. You shall not be afraid of the face of man. Whatever they say, whatever their face is saying, you're not supposed to be afraid of that face to make you sway from saying the Lord's judgment and exercising the Lord's judgment, because it's not popular with the people, or it's not popular with the rich. It's not popular with the locals or whoever. Like, this is not about popularity, but politics is about popularity. That's why they have a campaign. If I say things that you like, that's better than what the other person says, then I'm more popular and you'll vote for me. That's an evil way of doing things. Because suppose you're wrong. Suppose what you're doing and how you live is incorrect, because you had a leader who did what was popular instead of what the Lord commanded. Now everybody's doing the wrong thing. Who's going to come and tell you that what you're doing is wrong if the people that are in charge are the people that say the things that you like, and only that? That's why our people stopped listening to the prophets. That's why we ended up at the bottom of cargo slave ships. That's why we end up in INS detention centers and in the Trail of Tears and in Indian boarding school, and our sons and daughters taken and given to another people. These were the curses that were a part of the statutes and the judgments which the Lord told us was going to happen if we disobeyed him, which is why it's so important that we get back to obeying him. All right? Right. Okay. So now where we at? 17. And he says, for the judgment is the Most High's. The judgment is coming from the Most High, because the authority that the Lord gave to Moses is now on the wise men and these officers and captains that are in charge over all of our cities wherever we live. So the Lord's spirit is on these men and making the judgment from the Most High, because these rules and these statutes come from the Most High. So now we can have a nation. We can function. Even though we're living in the wilderness for 40 years, we've been practicing on how to be a nation. We've been practicing. The Egyptians said that you can do this and this, but we're not Egyptians. And my children are not Egyptian. They know they're not Egyptian. I have to fight the urge to be an Egyptian, but the next generation won't know anything about being Egyptian. They'll only know they're Israelites. They won't know pledge allegiance to the flag, my country, 'tis of thee. They will only know Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah Barakatah. The sisters, they're not going to know hot girl summer. They ain't going to know how to be a bad bee and independent. All that. They're going to know Yahweh Shema Alatah by Hashem Yahweh Shah. And they won't inherit everybody being raised by mommy alone. They'll have husbands and they'll have sisters. And they'll understand that if their husband takes another wife, that they are still his wife. And those sons will understand that they are responsible for their wives. That you can't just have sex with a sister and throw her away. And then we'll have an entire generation of Black, Hispanic, and Native American princesses where no one is a single mother, where no one is raising children on their own. All of those problems that come with you trying to raise your sons and your daughters, they're gone. Because now we have a nation. You're not on your own. You're not independent. You understand? You ain't trying to figure life out by yourself. You 20, 15, 16, 17, 30. The hell do you know about figuring life out by yourself? You are supposed to be born and able to inherit what your people had done to prepare for you. the water supply that was secured so that you will have water once you're born. The education system that is prepared to teach you so that you will have an education to teach you how to be an Israelite and not how to be a white woman with brown skin, not how to be an African or an Arab or an East Indian. You will learn how to be what your forefathers and foremothers were. That is what the purpose of the Bible is. That is what the Spirit of the Lord is. That's the purpose for having officers and captains and generals. That's how you form a nation, and that is what the Isupk is doing. And it is so much more criminal that anyone else is masquerading as a man of God in any other way that is stealing from this nation so that all of our children can inherit this and not whatever mess some brother made up for himself. So he can have power. You understand? Hey, shalom, boy. You shoot your birthday. All right. All right. No sweat. So that's what the Lord is saying. And I'm going to finish 17. For the judgment is the Most High's, and the cause that is too hard for you, bring it to me and I will hear it. That's why they're generals in charge. Generals with more wisdom than the captains, than the officers who are everywhere that you see. Then those generals put captains in charge, and those captains put officers in charge, and those officers raise up troopers, and those troopers are an example that young men see to say, "Damn, I want to be like that one day." Because guess what your son is going to see? He's going to see the flag hanging out the pocket of the Crips and the Bloods. He's going to say, "Damn, I want to be that one day. I like people getting out of my way when I walk. I like people respecting me, fearing me. Shit, I know they get him wrong. He'll shoot up the neighborhood. I want that respect. I want that power." Guess what, brother? You can have that respect and that power without shooting up the neighborhood. You can have that power in front of your enemies. You understand? You can have a different type of power that the Lord gave to you as an inheritance if you want to learn how to do it. If you want to earn it, we can teach you, brother. See what you got. You understand? And your sons will look up to that instead of looking up to future. Instead of looking up to being a drug addict. Instead of looking up to being a drunk or a murderer. You understand? That is how we fix our people. You understand? So let me just finish this. You understand? Bring it to Moses. You understand? That's why we have councils. That's why we have all of these things that are set up. And this is how the Lord set it up. Without judgment, you can't have a nation. You understand? If everyone gets their bike stolen, then what you end up having is like, take me to 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 1. Hold that for me. 6 and 1. All right. If there's never any judgment, no one can be secure. There can't be security. All of your kids will have to go to school with guns and knives because somebody is waiting to take my shoes. Somebody's waiting to take my coat, my first down jacket, my North Face. Coming up when I was young, that North Face, your Timberlands and your Jordans would get you killed on your way to school. They used to shoot kids in the legs to take their jacket off, to not shoot them. They just shoot your legs so they can come and take your jackets off while you're at the bus stop. If there's no judgment of men of war that are patrolling the cities, then you won't ever have security. The only reason that someone believes it's acceptable to sell drugs or rob or commit a murder because they don't know there's any warriors that will make them pay consequences if they do it. They don't have any warriors to look up to. So in their mind, they figure this is acceptable because there's no boundary that says this is a movie, but you cannot do this. This is a movie. Yeah, you can enjoy the movie, that's fine, but we are not allowed to live like this. You can't live like this. I understand this is a movie. You like the song, that's fine. There's no sin to listen to the song, but you can't be what she's saying. You can't live that way. It's entertainment. And our people look to entertainers for guidance. They're lying. If they did as many murders as they rapped about, they'd all be in prison. You'd have no rappers. If they smoked as much coke, if they snorted as much coke and did as much Percocets as they telling you about, they would have already overdosed and died. You understand? They selling you a dream, just like the movie. You don't expect Samuel L. Jackson to be all those characters he was in the movie. You don't think Denzel Washington is really Alonzo. You understand? From Training Day, it's entertainment. That's not really who they are. And you shouldn't pattern your life after them because here is what you pattern real life after, not entertainment. Our people need that because our brothers and sisters are looking up to entertainers to see how life is supposed to go, because you Christian preachers failed to teach us how God said life is supposed to go. And that is a crime, because you've stolen from our people that gave you the resources that were supposed to go to the real men of God to do the job as a man of God. And you have those resources. Every one of you preachers and you imams in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community, you have stolen the resources that are supposed to go to Commanding General Yahanna, so that his captains over thousands and officers of thousands and fifties and tens all over everywhere where Black and Hispanics are have all of the resources to care for the Lord's people. But you have it, and God is going to charge you for it and take it from you. You understand? Time is running out. You understand? All right. So take me to what you got. What scripture I got you for? Go ahead and mute your computer, brother. Give me 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 1. You might need to turn it down some if you still need to hear. 1 Corinthians 6 and 1.
Khan. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 1. Dare any of you, having a matter against another,
right? If you have an issue
before,
right, slow it down a little bit. When you see those commas, just pause there, because that's something that needs to be broken down. He's speaking both. He says, dare any of you have an issue with another brother or sister, and before you come to the men of the Lord, you go to law against sinners. You understand? Against men who divorced their wives in those robe judges in the Roman courtrooms or in Esau's courtrooms. Against a woman who's going to give two women the right to marry, or a woman the right to kill her baby, or a woman the right to leave her man so that she can go and have sex with another man. How dare you not come to the men of the Lord, who the Lord appointed to hear the causes between thee and thy brothers, and to establish judgment and to pass judgment for our people, which is the reason why you don't know what the Chinese problems are. You don't know what the Ethiopians' problems are. You don't know the Koreans' problems. They got their own judgments. You understand? Rarely will you go to court and you see as many other races of people in America's courtrooms as you will see Blacks and Hispanics. Very rarely. You understand? Because they're not dependent on America to deal with their people, because they themselves are a people unto themselves. You understand? So keep going.
Khan. Go to law before the unjust, and not before the saints.
Like you going to law before sinners, trying to get justice from a sinner. You understand? Some crime happens, and instead of our people, which is understandable, you go to court, Esau does something terrible to your family. That's the natural process here in America. But thinking that going to Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson or Benjamin Crump, other than going to Commanding General Yahanna, trying to get justice from America, Al Sharpton is going to get a check. Your case is going to be swept under the rug. Those officers are going to keep their job, and you just get to sit home with the money thinking about how you miss your son or your husband or your wife, and how you took a bribe to just make it go away. You understand? As opposed to the actual spirit that's supposed to be on us to make us a people, instead of a bunch of individuals with our own personal beliefs and personal gods. Then, all right, they did something. Here's what's going to happen. Because the Chinese did this to this young brother, they pulled this gun and killed this sister. No Black, Hispanic, or Native American anywhere in America is going to shop at any Chinese stores until this person pays. All the carryouts. No more fish dinners, no more steak and cheese. We get them somewhere else. No more beauty supply stores, wigs, shea butter, soap, stocking caps, nothing. You won't make a penny. Ain't no white woman coming in your beauty supply store getting all their dyes and colors. They got their own stores. And you're not setting up shop in their community the way you set up shop in our community. That's fine. Y'all let him go. Y'all said he was not guilty. No sweat. All right. We won't support any more Italian pizza shops until Pantaleno is brought to justice and fired for murdering Eric Garner. All the Italian pizza shops get no more black and Hispanic, no more Puerto Rican and Dominican money. We cutting them off completely until this is fixed. We making our own pizza. They cut off. We ain't buying no more of your suits, no more of your Italian suits, no more of your pizzas, no more of your calzones. If it smells Italian, we are boycotting all things Italian until this is done right by our people. That thing will turn around so fast. That's how you have actual power. It doesn't come from begging a hoe who will jump into bed with whoever can put a couple of dollars up his drawers, which is what your politicians are. That's not how you fix that. The game of politics is based on you paying me and I do what you want. That's how it works. You can't tell them to do this out of the goodness of your heart because that's not the job. That's what you think because they run game on your grandmother and your mom. You understand? So now this is what he's saying. You dare to go to law before these sinners and not take your matters before the men of the Lord. All right, read verse 2.
Kind of overcome. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 2. Do ye know not, Salakia, do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world?
Right, you got to be careful with that old Quaker English. It'll get you. But you know that the saints shall judge the world? You understand? The saints are the saints are the Israelites. That's the children of God. The Lord, the saints, the precept for what is a saint, which is very important to know. You might want to put this in your notes. It should be Psalms 50 and 5. Let me just double check. Saints who made a covenant with me by sacrifice. I'll check this. Should be Psalms 50 and 5. 55 and 5, 50 and 5, made a covenant with me by sacrifice. Exactly. Psalms chapter 50 and verse 5. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. A saint is someone that made a covenant with the Most High by sacrifice. That's your precept for what a saint is, because you'll see the word saint all throughout the New Testament. It won't say Israelite, 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 children of Israel, children of Israel. It'll say the saints. Because remember, the Bible is written in slang. Slang is a code that we automatically speak to each other as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You understand? And as we are dealing and going about, we had laws from the other nations of people. That's why we celebrate Hanukkah with the wars that we had with the Greeks. They passed laws that we had to become Greeks because it was unlawful for an Israelite to say that they were a Jew. We had to speak Greek and take their Greek culture. Otherwise, they would kill you, kill your kids, kill your family, torture you, everything. That's why we became known as the Greeks in the New Testament. So that's what he's saying to the saints. The precept for saints is Psalm 50 and 5. Well, it tells you who the covenant by sacrifice. You would also take the precept for what the covenant of sacrifice is, would be Exodus chapter 24 and verse 7, when the Lord told Moses to make the sacrifice and sprinkle the blood of the covenant on the ground. You understand? Let me just read it real quick. This is the other precept, Exodus chapter 24 and verse 7. It says, and he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. And they said, all that the Most High have said, we will do and be obedient. Verse 8, and Moses took the blood and sprinkled it on the people. That's why the Roman Catholic Church does this thing here. This is from the Bible, but it's not for them, and that's not what it was. But he sprinkled the blood from the sacrifice on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant, which the Most High have made with you concerning all these words. So that's the precept of what a saint is. Psalms chapter 50 and verse 5, and in Exodus chapter 24, verse 7 and 8. So everywhere in the New Testament, when you see the word saints, the saints, the saints, the saints, you'll hear them talk about saints and saints. Christians say saints. Saints means an Israelite. That's what it means. All right. So when he's saying in this 1 Corinthians that Trooper Yagadar is reading, when he says that the saints shall judge the world, the Israelites are going to be in charge as the rulers, not only of our society, which the word world means age of society. The Israelites did not judge the Romans. The Israelites judged Israelite society. Those bastard fat Sadducees and Pharisees are the ones that went and got the Romans to say to crucify Christ, because they judged our world. Christ was setting up the Lord's world with his judges, which is why the disciples, I think Peter wrote this. No, not Peter, Paul, because Paul set up the schools. Paul was writing to the school in Corinth to tell them, the hell are you doing going to law before these damn religious leaders when we got the judges here that the Lord appointed in the school? The hell are you going to them? You got an issue with a brother, you taking them to Esau's court. You paying court fees, parking fees, this fees, violation fee, lawyer fee. When two brothers and sisters that's in the truth, you're supposed to be able to come before the judges of the Lord and have your matters heard, not go to the other nations of people, you understand, or go to the sinners of our people that's in the world trying to get counsel from them on our issues. They don't serve the Most High. That's what he's telling them. You understand? This is the foundation that the truth is built on. You understand? All right, so keep going.
And if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters?
It's like you can't deal with small issues. You understand? Like they didn't have a proper understanding of what the truth was, what the actual purpose for everything that was being set up. That's why Paul is writing these letters, and that's why the Lord had them compiled into today as what we know as the Bible. All right. These were important things because remember, these are brothers and sisters that are coming out of the world that are learning, again, our culture. They're learning how to be an Israelite, how to live in the truth. They weren't raised this way, but they're learning now. And you also have brothers and sisters. Well, no, they weren't, because Corinth is outside of Jerusalem. All right. That's why Paul had to travel and set these schools up. And that is why the head prophet that the Lord set in charge sets men up under him that go to other cities and states to set up schools, to set up, you understand, to do this exact same thing that the Lord always had the prophets go and do. You understand? The same mission that our people, our priests and prophets have been on, that the disciples was on, we are still on this exact same mission here in Isupk. Nothing has changed. You understand? All right, so skip me down to verse 5.
1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 5. I speak to your shame.
Like, this is not something that I'm saying you're doing a good job. I'm saying this to shame you so that you don't realize, what's going on. What's the purpose of you being in the truth? What's the purpose of giving you this authority? The purpose of me setting up these schools and raising you, giving you this authority, giving you these laws, statutes, and commandments, teaching you your history. You're supposed to be, this is to make you a pillar for the Lord's work in that city, a pillar for our nation. You understand? Where you are. That's what the school is for. The word church means school. You understand? So keep going.
Is it so that there is not a wise man among you?
He like, there's no wise men among you. The whole reason we got officers and captains and stuff that's going on because it's wise men known of understanding. You didn't end up having a school because there was no man of understanding. He has to raise them. He has to teach them. He's instructing them. Paul is writing letters home from prison. Paul is in prison. You understand? He's writing these letters to the schools that he set up in Corinth, in Thessalonica, in Ephesians, in Pontus, in Galatia. And that's what the names of the books are. Galatians, Philippians, Ephesians. These were the places that he traveled and set up schools. All right. So keep going.
No, not one that shall be able to judge between his brethren.
Like there's not one of you that can judge between your brethren, that you sitting up in Esau's, you sitting up in the wicked's courtroom trying to get advice for some preacher. You understand? Trying to get advice from some imam or some other sinner who's not even in the truth. You trying to get counsel from them and not from the men of the Lord that he set up. He's writing this book to say, who the hell is in charge of this school? Who the hell is in charge over there? Didn't I put someone in charge? What in the hell are you all doing over there? That's not what I taught y'all. Like, he's saying that because there is a way that things are supposed to be done, and he is getting a report. Someone is getting a report about what you do in this Virginia school. A report has to be given. You understand? There's a report given for every school. So someone can say, what in the hell is going on? What the hell is this sister doing? What the hell is this brother doing? They did what? Or what's going on? Well, what's the problem? Well, what's going on? What happened? Someone is accountable. You understand? Someone is held accountable because it is an actual man of the Lord's job to deal with the burden and the strife and the cumbrance and all of those things going on with the people. That is why you get an order to report it to your camp leader. That's why you get an order to report each week. Report what happened. Some emergency happened. Give a report. Where are you? You got check-ins. We got time to check in. Why aren't you here? What's going on? Why is this late? Well, you can't keep doing this late, brother, because one day I'm only going to be able to make one phone call to you. We might not have phones in the future. Russia might knock the satellites down. Might be an EMP exploded by China with these damn weather balloons. Then we aren't able to come and talk as freely. And while the world is shutting down, our orders don't change. Our authority doesn't change. We can only do this at this one time. I need you to do this. I need to rely on you. Somebody here, you're going to meet them here and get this food. You're going to take this truck of food and be here. And some brother in some other state is going to get an instruction from his camp leader. Be here at this time, brother. You're going to meet this brother. He coming from Virginia. You're going to meet him. You all are going to meet there. You're going to get this food. You're going to take this food and drop it off to this brother over here. And that's how all the brothers and sisters who will either serve the Lord in this city, brothers and sisters you don't know, in some city you've never been to, that's how they're going to eat. And then all of that city will serve the Lord and come into the truth, or they'll go to church and church will give them food. And then they won't serve the Lord. And then we'll have to find another way to fish, brothers and sisters. That's why check-in ends at 6. That's why it's every Wednesday. That's why you get an order, you follow back up on that order. That's why you ask for more time if you can't complete the order. That's why you do the opposite of what you think and what you feel. You follow the order that was given you, because one day someone's life will be on the line. One day, 50 people's lives will be on the line. 50 men and their families, 500 men and their families, 500 sisters with no husbands will depend on your ability to follow a goddamn order, or they will starve and die. That's why you wear all black. That's why you count out of one color. That's why. Because you are going to be the pillar that the rest of the nation can rest on. They're going to be able to get sleep because you're not sleeping. And then you will get better. And the next generations of brothers and sisters, there will be 50 of you in that city, so that more brothers and sisters can do less OnlyFans and sell less weed and less Percocets, and they will rely on the Lord. And then guess what's going to happen eventually? Somebody can get a farm. We're going to get some land. We're going to be housing and feeding each other. They'll be bringing their milk and their stuff to us, because they know we got a disciplined crew of soldiers that can get here at this time every week, every month, pick this food up, get it here, deliver it here, and feed brothers and sisters. They'll say, you know what? They're not doing it. But I tell you what, I'll give you all of this food if you can get it there and feed these brothers and sisters. And before you know it, just like in St. Louis with Captain DeGalgabar, just like in Texas with Captain Yatazak, just like in South Carolina, just like in North Carolina, just like in Philly and Delaware, you will be how brothers and sisters eat. They'll eat because of you. They'll starve because the preacher has all of the money. And T.D. Jakes has private yachts and $20 million mansions to give to his daughter, but they will eat chili and hot dogs and chicken and get sandwiches and juices and waters because you learn how to follow orders wearing all black. Or you didn't follow orders, and now someone else has to come along and do it. You understand? That's how the generals raised me. I assure you, the classes that I sat in with General Katham Gabar and General Shawamar and General Kabbalah Marv and Captain Meshach Mayum had 10 times as much fire as I could possibly deliver unto you. But this is what it is. You're going to learn to tread fire. You're going to tread fire like you in the swimming pool. What happened? No, ain't no sweat. Ain't no sweat. You understand? And you will, the Lord say, I'll make a man more precious than fine gold. These pastors are soft. They're going to crumble. They're going to crumble. They look like they doing what we saying, but they don't have it in them. They don't last in the fire. That's why they're not in here. You understand? But you will be a man more precious than fine gold, and the nation will rest on you. And other brothers would say, you know what? I'm going to wear my all black. I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes. I'm going to stop smoking weed. I'm going to quit selling drugs. You know what? Let's do this. And then other brothers and sisters will see you and be inspired to serve the Most High, just like other brothers and sisters saw wicked men and were inspired to follow them. That's what the scriptures is talking about. That's the spirit of the Lord. You understand? And that is what Commander General Yohana raises up in here. That is what Christ was doing. That is what Moses was doing. That is what Samuel was doing. That is what Isaiah and Joshua was doing. This has always been the job of the prophets of the Lord. All right. So take me down to verse 8.
I will come.
All right.
1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 8. Nay, ye do wrong and defraud.
Right. You're doing wrong and you defraud. You're doing something wrong. You're defrauding. Keep going.
I will come. And that your brethren.
And that your brethren. Like this is your brothers you doing this to. Don't do this. He's talking to brothers that's in the school. You understand? This is your brother that you're doing this to. Don't do this. You understand? Don't do that to your brother. He's telling them. You understand? Because this evil spirit that the world and the Christian church puts on our people, you understand? He's trying to get these evil spirits off of our people. We got to get Christianity out of our spirit. You understand? And it's a process. It's not magic. But give me verse 9.
I will come. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High?
He said, don't you know the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? He's like, you're not going to inherit the kingdom of the Lord. This work in building up these schools is to build up the kingdom of the Most High. It may not look like it or seem like it now, but the kingdom of the Lord, this is how it is built. We weren't a kingdom when we left Egypt. We were just getting deported. You understand? But when we came out of that wilderness into the land that the Lord gave us, we were a nation. You understand? And this is that same process. We're doing it over and over again. It's nothing new under the sun. All right? So keep going.
I will come. Be not deceived.
Don't be tricked. Keep going.
Neither fornicators.
Fornication is unlawful sex. There's a specific term what fornication is. It is having unlawful sex. 2 men having sex is fornication. 2 women having sex is fornication. Having sex with a dead body is fornication. Having sex with an animal is fornication. Having sex with a man, having sex with another man's woman, getting rid of your woman. Okay, that's fornication. Let's not get to it because adultery is something specific and fornication is something specific. So keep going.
I will come. Nor idolaters.
An idolater is someone who worships idols. You understand? They pray to a rock in Saudi Arabia called Mecca. That rock is Allah. That is an idol. In the Roman Catholic Church, they pray to statues, statue of Peter, Virgin Mary. They pray to in Santa Muerte. They pray to a statue of some skull praying woman. You understand? In different religions, they pray to Mother Sky and Mother Earth and the eagle and the wolf. You understand? They pray to the damn pyramids. They pray to the ancestors. Like in that movie, The Woman King, they donating blood and pouring blood on these idols that they have set up for the ancestors. They pray to Buddha and statues of Krishna in all of the religions for the other nations of people. They worship idols. You understand? We worship the creator of all of the things, the actual bull, sun, moon, star, sky. We follow the actual creator and not the thing he created. You understand? So keep going.
Khan. nor adulterers.
An adulterer is something specific from fornication. Adultery deals with marriage. Fornication is also rape. You having sex with someone that does not want to have sex with you, that is unlawful sex, that's fornication. Adultery is a woman who has sex with any other man besides her husband. The first man you have sex with, that is your husband. The second man you have sex with, if the first man is not dead, you've now committed adultery. That man that had sex with you after you've already had a husband, he and you now have both committed adultery because you belong to that first man. A man that has sex with a woman that already has a husband, that is adultery. A man that, let's say he already has a wife. This man, he has a wife. They're married. This man now wants to go and have another woman. But the Christian church and fake Israelite groups has told him and her that he has to choose between this woman over here and this woman over here. And then he leaves this woman over here, and now he's only with this woman over here. That is adultery. He has to keep this one, and he has to keep this one. If he has had sex with them, he's married them both. You understand? You cannot get rid of one for the other. You make me want to leave the one I'm with, start a new relationship with you. That is evil, wicked Christian telenovela soap opera nonsense. You are not allowed to throw away one woman for the other woman. You're not allowed to do that. You have to keep them both. Let's say he takes another woman. You have to keep all three of them. If you don't want to deal with her big mouth and her nagging and her arguing and her throwing her attitude, then you should have learned how to deal with her and court her better before you had sex with her. But now she's yours. She can't leave you and you can't leave her. You understand? Like, that's very important to learn, because these are legal terms. We're talking about judgments, statutes, laws, rules, judgments. This is how we have a nation. Our nation of people are, as a whole, brothers and sisters in the world, are absolutely terrible at relationships. They're terrible. Hey, shalom, sis. Y'all was small and thought she was shy. All right. Gad, just make sure you get this sister on Instagram for attendance here. Sis, just make sure you, if you can, you sign in for attendance on our YouTube channel. But the attendance is gonna get you straight. All right. All right, Most High in Christ. So, like, that is like, our people in the world don't have a concept that God says sex is marriage. Our people, because of the Christian church, believe that there's some magical understanding that just will come somewhere down the line and everybody will figure it out. And that's because of the Christian church. But we're not Christians here in the Isupk. Sex is marriage. Sex is marriage at 14, 24, 44, 64, 54, 84. Sex is marriage. You have sex with that man, you were married to him. You cannot leave that man. You should not be making that decision if you are a woman. Your father should decide. Women now make those decisions on their own and then complain every opportunity they get about the free will choice and decision that America gave them to choose their own man. And then they on themselves find all the men that they have a problem with, and they go and make children with them and then argue and go to court because they hate the decision that they made. This is not wise. You understand? And our people make very unwise decisions. That's another part of the important job of teaching our people what the Lord said. You understand? So let's see where we at. 59. All right, go ahead and finish verse 9. Keep going.
Nor effeminate.
An effeminate man is a man who behaves feminine. This is not saying a homosexual man. The homosexual man is something different. That's why all of those commas, every time there's a comma in the scripture, the brother pauses. because that is something that needs to be broken down. Every punctuation, comma, semicolon, those things are important. Just like fornication and adultery are two separate words after commas, because they're not quite the same. Just like if you go to court, you have a statute and a law. This is murder in the first degree. This is murder in the second degree. This is aggravated manslaughter. You didn't mean to kill him, but he died. This is negligent homicide. You wasn't trying to kill him, but he died. This is third degree this, second degree this. This is assault and battery. You beat the hell out of him. This is assault and battery with intent to kill. You meant to kill him, but he didn't die. This is you defended yourself. So this is aggravated. You wouldn't have did it. You had a chance to stop, but you kept hitting him after the fact. This was you defending yourself. There's no crime at all. They're laws. That is what a statute, law, and judgment is. And the sooner that our people get back to learning that God has statutes, laws, and judgments, the less we'll be sitting in front of the white man's courtroom, getting hit with his statutes, laws, and judgments, and his fines, and his correction. If we had law to correct ourselves, that is what the judgment and the orders and things are that are in the Bible that your preacher told you don't even exist. They said Jesus did away with it. Everybody do what the hell you want. So an effeminate man is a man that just behaves. He's got too much mommy in him. Used to say you got sugar in your blood. All of these things now, they got terms for them. You're this phobic, you're that phobic, you're this shaming, that shaming. Well, phobia and shaming is in the Bible. God is instituted in the Bible to make sure that one day, if you don't allow this little boy to behave too much like his mother, one day an evil man is going to see this effeminate child and he's going to molest that child. That place is called church. And black women take their children to church despite all the child molestation that everyone knows about every week. And then say they love their children. And then eventually, what's right after this comma, this is what happens. But an effeminate, you're not allowed to be effeminate. A man is not allowed to be effeminate. He's not allowed to carry himself like a woman, to act like a woman, have a woman's mannerisms. There's not supposed to be any confusion on this is a man and this is a girl. The Lord is not the author of confusion. Our oppressor makes things confusion. The Lord gives men, not every brother has the same thing, but he gives men something he doesn't give the woman, which is a beard, mustache, goatee, you understand? And a man is supposed to have that. Not every brother has the same amount. Some brothers have more than others, but the Lord put that on there. We have a law in the Bible where a man is not supposed to shave his face. He's not supposed to make baldness on his head or on his face. That is against the Most High. You're not supposed to cut lines into your head that shape up and those taper offs. A woman is not supposed to cut her hair to look like a little boy. That's against God. You understand? A man is not supposed to be feminine. If a woman is saying yes and waving her hands around and skipping and twirling in circles and doing all the clapping and all the stuff that sisters do, a man is not allowed to do that. A little boy is not allowed to do that. Mommy will make an excuse. Well, he's young. He's just a boy. He's just 2, he's just 3, he's just 5, he's just 6, he's a teen, he's 20, he's young, he's finding himself. And then next thing you know, he comes home with a boyfriend because mommy doesn't see the danger. But an effeminate is not going into the kingdom of heaven. That bent wrist and that switch and them loose hips and that neck swirling around, you're not going into the kingdom of heaven. That is something God does not accept. You cannot do that. You have to get that out of you. You understand? You cannot go into the kingdom of heaven with that spirit. You understand? Now, after that effeminate, or a man, let's just say a man is weak under his woman. Whatever my woman wants, whatever make you wife, happy life. You, my sun, my moon, and my stars. You the reason why I breathe. Whatever to keep my queen happy. My queen, all of that silly R&B nonsense that people think is you being a good man, that's effeminate. You understand? That does not mean you cannot love your woman. You cannot compliment your woman. You cannot be kind to your woman. That doesn't mean, you understand, you have to be rough or brutal with your woman. That is not what masculinity is. And that is not what an effeminate man is. An effeminate is weak under his woman. You won't serve the Lord because you're afraid that your woman is going to leave you and take the kids. Christ said, I have come to set a man at variance. From henceforth, two shall be divided in one house. The father-in-law against the mother-in-law, the husband against the wife, the daughter against the son-in-law. That's what Christ came for. So if that's something you're going to lose, you'd better serve the Most High instead of trying to gain the world and lose your soul, trying to make your woman or your mommy or your grandma happy. Otherwise, the Lord is not going to protect you when Officer Killer Black is looking to kill someone at a traffic stop. You will forfeit the Lord's protection because you're weak under your mommy. You understand? That's why Isupk is no cowards. You got to have courage to serve the Lord. Because if it comes down between you sparing your own life and abandoning your people, you'll leave your people to die so that you can live tomorrow. That's not us in here. You might want to be in church. You understand? They said when Dylan Roof was in that church shooting the church up, one of the men took some blood and put the blood on himself. So Dylan Roof would think that he was dead. As he's walking through the church, killing the rest of the brothers. Hallelujah. Everybody giving a hug. I'm blessed. How you doing, Deacon Williams? I'm blessed and sanctified. Praise God. How you doing, Sister Cheryl? I'm blessed, brother. Blessed and highly favored. You let Dylan Roof murder Sister Cheryl. You put her blood on you as he killed the rest of your congregation. You didn't go fight him. You didn't go die for Sister Cheryl. You hid so that you can live. And he murdered Sister Cheryl. And then y'all go back to church next Sunday. I don't know. I can't deal with it. I can't be around you. You can't sit in a room with me. Us in here, you couldn't sit in here with us. You understand? You might have to watch online, get your strength up. But we don't have cowards in here. You can be weak. We can make you strong. But a coward, we can't do nothing with a coward. You understand? We'll be strong and you be a coward somewhere. Pay your tithes. Pay your tithes. That's what you do. All right? Tell strong brothers get in class. You sit and watch your people starve while you eat. You're a coward. You can't be in here with us. Don't sweat it. We'll handle it. All right? But that's what the Lord is saying in here. An effeminate man, he can't be in the kingdom of heaven because he won't stand for what the Lord wants. He's effeminate. He don't want conflict. Not starting trouble and running from trouble are two different things. You understand? So an effeminate man. Now, what's after an effeminate man? Keep going.
No abusers of themselves with mankind.
That is a homosexual. That is different from an effeminate man. It's not that much better, you understand, but an effeminate man and then an abuser of themselves with mankind, an abusing of yourself. That's a man having sex with another man. That's an abuser of yourself with mankind. That's abuse. Some man tear up your behind. That is abuse. You laying down having sex with another man. That's abuse. That's terrible. That you'll never make it into the kingdom of heaven. When the Lord brings thermonuclear war, brothers who have sex with other brothers' wives, they're going to burn up with our oppressor. Brothers who leave one woman for another woman, they're going to burn up here in America. Sisters who have sex with other men after they leave their husband, they're going to burn up here in America. You understand? All that, I'm a player, I have sex with your girl, give it back. Both of y'all going to burn up when the missiles hit America. You a man switching and sashaying, hitting that tambourine, you're not quite a homosexual, but you ain't that masculine. You're going to burn up here in America. That's what God is saying. We're not going to do it. We here praying to the Lord to give you more time to change, to get those demons off of you. You understand? But that's not going into the kingdom of heaven. A full-out man having sex with another man, a woman laying down, licking on another woman. You done went to the oppressor and bought you a fake rod so you can pretend like you're a man having sex with a woman. You're going to burn up here with America. Thermonuclear war, thousands of degrees of heat. You're going to be vaporized here in America. That's not going into the kingdom of heaven. That's what the scriptures is talking about. You understand? So where you at? What's verse 10? Give me verse 10. What we at? 909? All right.
Come on. We just finished 9. We can do 10.
All right. So like it take me to
Acts.
No. Drop 10. Drop 10. Take me to Acts. We at 909. We're going to read these last few here. Take me to Acts chapter 13 and verse 16. We'll try to Acts 13 and 16. All right.
Kanawakan.
All right.
Acts chapter 13, verse 16. Then Paul stood up.
All right. Paul speaking. He's
Beckoning,
standing up. Go ahead.
and beckoning with his hand, said,
Hand. He's saying, he's telling the people with his hands. To beckon means to call. He's speaking with his hands. Who is he calling?
Men of Israel.
Everybody. Who is he calling?
Men of Israel.
Men of Israel. That's who he's calling to. Men of Israel. He's not calling to all people under the sound of his voice. Just his people. Just God's people. Men of Israel. Keep going.
And ye that fear the Most High.
Those that fear the Most High. What is the fear of the Lord? To keep his laws, statutes, and commandments. Who were his commandments given to? The children of Israel. Amos chapter 3 and 1. Psalms 147, 19 and 20. Keep going.
Give audience.
Give me an audience. Men of Israel and those that fear the Lord, give me an audience. Listen to me. Keep going.
The God of this people of Israel.
This people. Not all people. This people. Keep going.
Chose our fathers.
They chose our fathers. They didn't choose everybody's fathers. They chose our fathers. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That our is in the Bible so much so that it's not me, and I. This is us. We are a family. We are God's chosen people. It's us. Because the whole law hangs on how you treat and deal with your brother. You understand? Don't steal from him. Don't rob him. Don't murder him. Don't take his possessions. Don't defraud him. Don't scam him. Don't hustle him. The whole law is built on these. You love the Most High as you love yourself. You love your neighbor as you love yourself. That's the whole law is based on that. That's why I keep saying our. And you go to church and the pastor says me, I, you. Personal salvation, my God, my Jesus, my salvation. That is the exact opposite spirit of what is in the Bible. And that is what has destroyed us as a people. You understand? So keep going.
And exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt.
The Lord lifted us up as we dwelt in strangers in the land of Egypt. They're always telling us about Egypt. They keep referencing Egypt because we are always scattered in other lands. We're not in our homeland. We've been taken away captive in America. We're captive in Brazil. We're captive in Colombia, in Peru, in Puerto Rico, on reservations, in Canada, in Haiti, in Dominican Republic. We're captive on Jamaica and in Trinidad and St. Croix. That's not our homeland. These are the lands of our exile, and that's not our homeland. That's why we are changing to serve the Most High, so that when Christ comes and brings the angels, the UFOs that Biden keeps talking about, he's scared to fight. That's why Donald Trump made a space military, just like it says in the book of Revelation. When Christ returns with the 200 million armies of heaven in the war of Armageddon, that's why Russia and China and Japan and Korea is getting ready to go to war. That's why China flying weather balloons all over America. You understand? They're not doing it for nothing. All right. Blacks and Hispanics, our people don't know what's going on in the world. We don't know what the hell is going on. We so wrapped up in entertainers and comedians and basketball and LeBron James and the new dance that we don't know what's going on in the real world outside of being a child chasing pleasure and fun and a good time and holidays. You understand? So keep going.
And with an high arm brought he them out of it.
High arm with his power. Give me verse 18.
Kanawakan. Acts chapter 13, verse 18. And about the time of 40 years suffered he their manners in the wilderness.
We had terrible manners in the wilderness. The Lord suffered our terrible behavior. The Lord suffered us for 40 years. It's a miracle any of us made it out alive. Remember that when you have to deal with your people, them loudmouth, ignorant brothers and sisters that you can't stand to see, that smell like gas and cigarettes. You understand? It's getting high. It's fighting in your goddamn hallway, shooting up your neighborhood. You understand? Like, you remember that, to be patient with your people. Our people are destroyed. Be patient with them brothers and sisters. You don't know them. They from some other place, different, man. The Spirit of the Lord is to reserve for you to love your brothers and sisters that you have not met, not to give all your love to your oppressor, to forgive them for slavery, which is what the Christian church teaches us to do. So keep going.
Verse
19.
19. And when he had destroyed 7 nations in the land of Canaan,
Right.
he divided their land to them by lot.
He divided up the land of the other nations because the Lord decided he didn't want those nations to exist anymore. And he told us to go and wipe them out. And that's what we did. Keep going.
Verse 20. And after that, he gave unto them judges about the space of 450 years.
We had judges ruling us for hundreds of years. That's why we had those priests, those prophets, those judges. We had the laws that the Most High gave, and then the Lord did this. Keep going.
All
right.
Until Samuel, the prophet.
Shemawa Allah, the prophet of Samuel. You understand? That's the prophet that's getting a book named after him, very instrumental in the work and the service of the Most High, the prophet Samuel. Got 1st and 2nd Samuel and everything that went on with him after Judges, which was after the death of Joshua. That's how we got our land. Joshua fought the wars. This is our heritage to pass down to our children so that we can always have in our mind, we are doing this for our future generations. This rules, these laws are for our future generations. We stop thinking about our future generations once we integrate it, because the leaders that we chose versus the men that the Lord set up told us that this was what was best for us. So keep going.
Verse 21. And afterward, they desired a king.
After that, we wanted a king. They said we wanted a king. All the other nations got a king. So we want a king too. The Lord said, all right, no sweat. Keep going.
And the Most High gave unto them Saul, the son of Cis.
King Saul, a Benjamite brother, tall brother. Keep going.
A man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years.
40 years King Saul ruled. All right. Keep going.
Verse 22. And when he had removed him,
he removed King
he raised up unto them David to be their king.
He set up King David. King Saul disobeyed the Most High. He removed him from being king, put up King David. Keep going.
To whom also he gave testimony and said, I have found David, the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart.
King David was a man after his own heart. He was a man of war. It was after the Lord's own heart. And the Most High loved King David. Keep going.
Which shall fulfill all my will.
He fulfilled everything the Most High wanted. Keep going.
Verse 23. Of this man's seed.
Of his seed.
Of the Most High.
Right. Not King Saul's seed, of King David's seed, because he did everything the Lord wanted and King Saul did not. King Saul ruled over Israel 40 years, but he did something that the Lord told him not to do. And because of that, the Lord removed him and set up another king, King David. Keep going.
Have the Most High, according to his promise, raised unto Israel a Savior, Yahushua.
He raised us up a Savior because King David did everything that the Lord commanded. He had a heart after the Most High, and the Lord loved King David. And he honored King David to this very day, and of his seed, his lineage. That's why Luke, the 3rd chapter, takes you all the way from Christ all the way down to Adam. Because of his lineage came our King Yahushua. You understand? That's how important it is. That's why Christ sits on the throne of King David. This is our nation. Lock it. Records of our people. That's why it's important. You understand? Lord willing, next week we'll pick up from here. All right. We over the time a little bit. All right. While y'all hanging in there, let's just get these out real quick. Go ahead and clap it up. We're going to end the class there. For the class ended, class is dismissed before you leave. You understand? You don't leave before class is dismissed. You understand? Just like the lesson is over, but the class is not dismissed at the end. Now, if you need to leave early, you request to leave early, but class is not dismissed until it is said class dismissed. All right. Just so that you know. So if you're in another city or another state and you're attending the class, you don't hear once the teacher is finished speaking that you just up and roll out. You got to learn that. Don't do that. You'll get checked. Don't do that. All right. So from that's the end of the class. We're going to read the security announcements. You just get to those there. All right. Bear with me just a moment. All right. No sign Christ watching here. The security announcements, important. We got these rules and things in our nation that make us a nation. All right. Make us a people, make us a nation. Let's get that here. I'll bring you up. All right. The ISUPK security announcements. We're the ISUPK. We start out at 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. This is the exact same original school from 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Since 1969, this is the exact same school. School never went anywhere. Though many men came and left, the school never went anywhere. Commander Junior Yohana changed nothing from what he was taught, you understand, since the school was started in 1969. All you fake Israelites and you fake Israelite elders that think you got something else, this is the same original school from 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a brother and sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They'll be saluted only. They're here to learn and shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After this 6-month period, if a brother and sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. After this 6-month period in which the brother and sister will get permission, they will court each other. After that 6-month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is the commandment, Numbers chapter 18, verse 21, Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, means 10th in the Hebrew, ma'ashara. 10% of any penny of any increase the Most High gives to you, you give right to the school. You go straight to isupk.com, pay your tithes, it'll send your receipt right to your email. Priest fund is a free will offer for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. The upcoming holy convocations, we have the Lord's 54th annual Passover coming up April 1st, Raleigh, North Carolina. The Lord's annual Passover, you understand, coming up April 1st. Following that, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is that very next day. Remember us coming out of Egypt and how we were on the run from the Egyptians that Passover night. Very important thing. All brothers and sisters, make sure you were there. All right. And lastly, if any brother wants to become a trooper in the school, it'll be in all black, no other colors, all black. Black boots, shirt, pants, headband, and war scarf. All right. And with that, we're going to give one courtesy salute. Say Ahmadium, which means to stand. All right. We're going to give one courtesy salute. All right. Men of Israel, Ahmadu Shabbat, Ahmadium, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah Barakathum, Yad Matah, which means hands down, Sar, which means to turn. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel, Ahmadu Shabbat, Ahmadium, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Al-Athan, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Yad Matah, which means hands down. Class dismissed. All right. Most High in Christ, Akim. All right. And with that, shalom. Make sure y'all hit the like, share, subscribe, thumbs up. All right, Akim. Shalom.